Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe, and hit the bell icon for latest updates. One guy turned a junk car yard into a big business. The other guy built a car fixing shop in the mountains full of rusty cars. Two different places, one same goal, bringing old forgotten cars back to life. But who was really better at turning junk into gold? On the outside, Junkyard Empire and Rust Valley restorers have the same job. Turn old forgotten metal into amazing cars. But when you look closer, it's easy to see. These are two very different worlds. One is built on working fast, speed, and making money. The other on old memories, hard work, and a deep love for history. And while both shows became hits around the world, the paths they took couldn't be more different. In Maryland, Andy Cohen turned his family's junk car yard into a fast-moving business. Junkyard Empire was born from speed, part car flipping business, part custom garage, and part crazy mess. Here, deadlines aren't just for TV drama. They're about making money to survive. If a car isn't moving, money isn't coming in. Andy loves that pressure. His team works fast, makes choices faster, and doesn't have time to cry over rusty car frames. Every car is a challenge to beat or sell for cash. Then there's Rust Valley. Hidden deep in the Canadian Rocky Mountains, covered by fog and time, Mike Hall's garage feels like the last place for cars with souls. He doesn't just see what cars could become, he sees their stories. Forgotten Firebirds, rotting Chargers. He doesn't flip cars to make money. He fixes them to save memories. Sometimes losing money, sometimes hurting his own safety, but always with heart. Both shows are about changing things. But one turns junk into money. The other turns it into meaning. And when you put them side by side, the real question isn't who built better cars. It's who built something that lasts. Every great garage needs a face. And these shows had two of the most unforgettable. On one side, Andy Cohen, the smooth-talking, deal-making hustler behind Junkyard Empire. Smart mind, even smarter mouth. Born into the junk business, Andy knew how to turn crazy mess into cash before most people could tell a car part from another car part. He's not just the front guy. He is the power of the show. If something's not making money, it's wasting time. And Andy doesn't waste time. On the other end stands Mike Hall. If Andy is the business guy, Mike is the dreamer. With his crazy hair, rough voice, and denim clothes, Mike doesn't just fix cars, he saves them. His garage isn't a business machine. It's a junkyard safe place in the mountains of British Columbia. He talks to cars like old friends. He sees past rust to what they could be. And while his ways may be weird, there's no question about the size of his heart. Andy runs the floor like a boss, working with numbers, pushing deals, cutting losses. Mike stumbles into passion projects, gets too attached, and sometimes loses money because he cares too much. Where Andy plays the game of business, Mike plays the long game of legacy. It's a battle of brains versus soul, dollars versus love, and the shows wouldn't be what they are without these men leading them. So, when it comes to running the garage, who would you rather have driving? Cohen's control or Hall's heart? Every wrench turn tells a story. And the way a builder works on a car says everything about what they believe in. For Junkyard Empire, that thinking is built on speed, being good at their job, and making money back. If a car isn't going to sell fast, it's taken apart for pieces or changed into a custom creation. Andy Cohen sees every car as a deal, a puzzle to be solved and sold. He's not in love with the machines. He's in love with the profit. Mike Hall, however, lives by a totally different rule. For Rust Valley, a car isn't just a project. It's a promise. Even if it takes months, even if the rust is so deep you can poke your finger through the side, Mike will save it. Not because it makes sense, but because it matters. He said no to easy money for cars he's not ready to let go of. Some say it's bad business. Others say it's passion in its cleanest form. Where Andy's team changes cars for modern tastes. New wheels, wraps, flashy touches. Mike's team keeps the past alive. Factory specs, classic paint, original engines when possible. It's not about what's cool, it's about what's real. So, the building ways clash. One builds to sell, the other builds to remember, and both have their wins and their costs. But when the dust settles, you're left wondering, Is it better to move metal fast or let it sit long enough to matter? Let's face it, reality TV runs on more than car power. It needs tension, fighting, moments that make you yell at the screen. And both shows gave that, but in very different flavors. On Junkyard Empire, the drama is high speed and high stakes. The shop is a battlefield of tight deadlines, last-minute customers, and crazy problems. 1 minute Andy's closing a deal. The next he's arguing with his father Bobby over whether a build should even happen. And Bobby, he's old school. No nonsense, no patience, and never afraid to call his son out. Their generational clash is part comedy, part chaos. It's a business soap opera held together by metal, sweat, and mutual respect that's tested daily. Now flip to Rust Valley, and the pace slows, but the emotions run deeper. The tension isn't always about money, it's about meaning. Mike Hall constantly walks a tightrope between passion and ruin. He wants to save every car, but doesn't always have the money. Avery Skay, his best friend and mechanic, tries to keep the shop from falling apart, both physically and emotionally. Connor, Mike's son, plays the voice of reason, pushing them towards smarter choices, but often feeling ignored. The drama comes not from flipping cars, but from trying not to lose themselves in the process. So, which drama hits harder? The loud clash of business battles or the quiet heartbreak of watching dreams stretch thin? Because in the end, both garages weren't just under pressure. They were under fire and still kept going. Forget the drama. Forget the thinking. Let's talk about the actual metal. Because when it comes to builds, Junkyard Empire and Rust Valley restorers look at the same pile of rust with two wildly different plans. At Junkyard Empire, the builds are fast, flashy, and they work. Andy Cohen's team isn't afraid to mix and match a project. Mixing parts, swapping engines, and bending every rule in the book if it means getting the job done. They've taken Range Rovers from scrap to showroom, changed tired work trucks into lifted monsters, and flipped custom muscle cars that feel more like weapons than cruisers. If it turns heads and turns a profit, they'll build it. Meanwhile, Rust Valley Restorers takes a more romantic approach. Mike Hall's team leans toward North American classics, Firebirds, Chargers, old school Mopars, and brings them back to life with as much originality as possible. Their builds are slower, but deeply thoughtful. Every panel is massaged, not hacked. Every part found with care, even if it means waiting weeks or losing money. Andy's shop lives in the now. Mike's shop lives in the past. One puts speed and resale first. The other puts keeping things original and passion first, and it shows in the final product. So, while Andy's builds might land quicker on the market, Mike's tend to stay in the heart. One hits the gas, the other hits the feelings. And the real question becomes, do you want a showpiece or a story? This is where things get personal, because building cars is one thing, building connection is another. And while both shows had success, only one truly built a cult following. Junkyard Empire brought respect. Andy's sharp business sense and no-nonsense shop culture appealed to car lovers who love speed and strategy. His builds inspired admiration, especially among fans who understand the hustle. But that admiration often came with distance. Andy was respected, but not always relatable. Some viewers saw him as intense. Some even called him cold. The Empire worked, but it wasn't warm. Then there's Rust Valley. Mike Hall's wild hair, big heart, and unfiltered emotion made him instantly magnetic. He laughed, cried, stumbled, and never pretended to be anything but himself. Avery Skay's dry humor and mechanical magic made him a fan favorite. Connor brought level-headed logic. Together, they didn't just restore cars, they made you feel something. And fans loved them for it. Across Reddit threads, YouTube comments, and fan pages, one thing kept popping up. Rust Valley wasn't just a show. It was therapy. Viewers saw themselves in Mike's struggle. They rooted for the shop like it was family. Andy built cars. Mike built connection. And while empires fade, emotional loyalty tends to last forever. Behind every great garage show is one unavoidable truth. The pressure is real. But how that pressure is handled separates a business from a breakdown. Junkyard Empire runs like a war room. Every build is a race against time. Andy Cohen juggles customers, vendors, deadlines, and drama, often all at once. When pressure hits, Andy doubles down. He delegates, demands, and drives the job through the finish line by any means necessary. His team doesn't always love the stress, but they respect the system. It's controlled chaos, and Andy thrives in it. Rust Valley, however, lives on a different kind of pressure. Emotional pressure. Money problems are constant. Mike Hall has poured his life savings into cars that may never pay off. His love for rusted relics often blinds him to budget. The shop teeters on the edge. When things fall apart, Mike doesn't bark orders. He breaks down. And the team, they patch each other up and keep moving. The pressure doesn't just come from deadlines. It comes from wondering if the dream will survive another month. Both shows walk a tightrope. One reacts with force. The other absorbs the blow. One shields emotions. The other wears them out loud. So when the pressure mounts and cameras roll, who would you bet on? The commander or the crusader? No empire or restoration dream survives without a crew. And both shows had teams that defined their identity. But again, Junkyard Empire and Rust Valley Restorers couldn't have been more different when it came to the people under the hood. At Junkyard Empire, the spotlight often bounced between Andy and his father, Bobby Cohen. Bobby brought the grit, old school wisdom, sharp tongue, and a lifetime of experience that clashed beautifully with Andy's modern business instincts. Their banter was the backbone of the show. Around them was a tight, rotating crew of mechanics and custom builders. These weren't TV personalities. They were taskmasters. Get it done or get out of the way. That energy gave the show its edge. But in Rust Valley, the crew wasn't just background. They were family. Avery Skay was the wild card. Half mechanic, half comic relief. He brought technical brilliance and raw personality. Viewers loved his offbeat wisdom and grizzled loyalty. Connor Hall, Mike's son, was the voice of reason, calm, focused, always trying to keep his father's heart from making the whole operation go broke. Add in journeymen like Cassidy and JF. And you had a garage that felt like a living, breathing machine, built on trust, not tension. The Junkyard team was lean, efficient, and brutally honest. The Rust Valley crew was chaotic, emotional, and fiercely loyal. One got the job done. The other made you care while they did it. Because behind every finished car is a crew that either survives the pressure or becomes a part of it. Let's talk numbers. Because while passion builds legacy, money keeps the lights on. And when you strip away the heart and hustle, which garage actually came out ahead? On paper, the answer might lean toward Junkyard Empire. Andy Cohen's entire model was built around making profit. Cars were flipped fast, inventory rotated constantly, and profits were baked into every decision. His family already had an established junkyard operation. So, the TV exposure only made bigger what was already a money-making business. Andy didn't just make cars, he made deals, and money followed. Now look at Rust Valley Restorers. Mike Hall may have had one of the most visually stunning backdrops in reality TV, but his business model wasn't built for speed or sustainability. His emotional connection to cars meant he often took on builds that didn't make sense financially. He held on to projects for years, sold rare classics at a loss, and more than once, he dipped into his own pockets just to keep the dream alive. The garage was powered more by hope than cash flow. That said, Rust Valley succeeded in a different currency, emotional return. Fan support turned Mike Hall into a cult figure. His cars might not always have gotten top dollar, but the love he earned, priceless. Still, from a strict business standpoint, Andy ran a tighter ship. He chased profits. Mike chased memories. So if dollars are the scoreboard, Cohen likely wins. But if legacy is the game, that's a different conversation. So after 20 minutes of torque, tension, and two totally different ways of thinking, we land at the real question. Who truly mastered the art of turning junk into treasure? If you value being good at the job, smart flips, and a profit-first mindset, Andy Cohen's Junkyard Empire is the clear winner. He built a machine, one that moved metal, made revenue, and turned chaos into control. His shop thrived under pressure. His vision was clear. He didn't get sentimental. He got results. But if you believe cars are more than sheet metal and every restoration carries a story worth saving, then Mike Hall's Rust Valley Restorers owns your heart. He didn't just build cars. He kept memories alive, took on impossible challenges, lost money, but never lost faith, and in doing so created one of the most emotionally powerful garage shows on TV. In truth, Texas isn't the only place with garage legends. From Maryland scrapyards to Canadian mountains, the love for machines takes many forms. One chased profit, one chased purpose. And maybe, just maybe, both were right. Because whether it's hustle or heart, the magic isn't just in what they built, it's in why they built.